innovative content, global audience.
That many Nigerians felt would bring relief, would bring hope, would bring peace. Something happened or something went down. And now, is it that the hope of the common man has been dashed to the ground? A lot of people feel that the suspension of the strike is targeted at the common man. This is something that is left for the NLC, of course, and the Trade Union Congress to decide on. This is inside Nigeria, of course, where we bring you issues bordering on us as the people, as a nation. We have a lot of things going on right now inside the country. If you ask me, too much to talk on. We're talking about subsidy removal. We talk about demolitions ongoing, especially here in the Federal Capital Territory. Of course, and a lot of killings. We'll talk about the tribunal cases here and there. So we have a lot inside Nigeria. But today we bring you, we focus here, something that has been bothering on the minds of every Nigerian. Talking about the subsidy, talking about demolition, and of course insecurity. But today here in Abuja, now we focus on the subsidy removal and some demolitions that are ongoing as we speak. Amid subsidy removal, we saw that a lot of buildings, a lot of markets, a lot of houses have been brought down. Is this the right time? Again, a lot of Nigerians felt that this is not the right time. Policies might be good, but the timing always wrong. This is Inside Nigeria. My name is Princess KESSY. You're welcome to the program. Of course, I have with me this afternoon on my show.
Yeah. Thank you,
Mr. Chinedu.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, you're welcome here again today.
It's my pleasure.
You see that we have a lot of issue. A lot of Nigerians are feeling that labor and the trade unions, maybe, just maybe, they must have compromised. Do you share this opinion as well?
Actually, when you look at perception, that's what it seems like. But actually, that's not the case. It depends on the way the labor unions fire from the onset. If I were them, if I were leaders of the labor union, I wouldn't have used my best arsenal. I wouldn't have put them forward. But the way it is now, there's this perception among Nigerians that they've, quote, come again to sell us out to government. But that's the perception out there. But it might not necessarily be the case, as it were.
Now, there's this so much energy. Just yesterday, even I had the head of information of the Nigerian Labour Congress on the show yesterday, and you could see the energy was like 101%. And barely hours, what happened? Everything went down. This is something Nigerians felt like it's like you said. Now they are now referring to this union, this organized labor, as the toothless bulldog.
Yeah, that's the way it seems like. It didn't start with this present leadership of the union.
Okay.
Because the way the past leadership of the unions, the way they approach issues with government, they seem to give the government this impression that they are out for the people. I don't know the day, with all the zeal, with all the energy they have, but when they go into negotiations with government, you wouldn't see that zeal and energy any longer. So it creates that impression among the populace that these people have been settled, that they're only fighting for their own stomach, as it were, not generally for the people. In this particular instance, if I were to advise the labor, I wouldn't have told them, because it was just so soon for them to have come out with a strike without exhausting all avenues of negotiation. Only just 4 days after this announcement were made, you are now calling for a strike in about five days. That's not the way it should be. They shouldn't have done that. They should have exhausted all avenues for negotiation with government before bringing their best armory, or their best armor, as it were, which is the strike option. But the way it is now, just under 2 days, they are singing a different songs. And what do you want the people to say? Supposedly people you are fighting for. So what do you want them to say? So they shouldn't have gone that route. They went with the government.
I did remember clearly that the head of information said yesterday, as the Nigerian Labour Congress, they are the mouthpiece of the common man, especially talking about the Nigerian workers. And now, where do you think this leaves Nigeria, the workers and the vulnerable person on the streets? This action, this court injunction, where do you think this has left the people?
No, I wouldn't even
because there was so much hope already, feeling that, oh, labor is coming through for us. maybe with this strike, something might just happen, something positive or little changes will just come with the strike. Now, but we've seen that for now, no strike, and just who knows, maybe there will never be a strike in the future. Now, what do you think? Where do you think this has left the people?
Yeah, because the way it seems, I don't think people. There's this perception that the strike might never hold, because in about 2 weeks' time, I think if I'm not mistaken, on the June 19th, they have another round of meeting. This was what this was what the route they should have gone through, because let me tell you, in the first place, there's a general consensus that subsidy should be removed, but there have to be some modalities, some things put in place before these things are removed. So this was what the labor movement should have engaged the government in. Before you remove these things, make these things available for the people. Not that even the labor, not that they're against the removal of subsidy, but what they are saying, there are some things that should be put in place before government should remove this. Before the government removes the subsidy. For example, now one of the points they raised with government is the issue of our refineries. They want all our refineries, the two in Warri, the one in Port Harcourt, the other one in Kaduna, to all work at optimum capacity before government can talk about removal of subsidy. But these things have not been done, which are the things I thought the labor should have engaged government in. The issue of the pay rise for their workers and other demands they asked for from government before using the strike threat against the government. But now, just barely for 8 hours to the commencement of the strike, it has been suspended or it has been called off. What do you think the ordinary Nigerian on the street will think about the labor leaders? That whenever they go into meetings with the government, they just come back and shelve their plan. So it leaves the Nigerians in limbo. It means everybody should fend for himself, irrespective of what labor does. That's the way it seems as of today.
Because of course we saw that with the I know somebody did say on Saturday I was having a conversation with somebody, a doctor, and he did mention that don't worry, everything will be okay. The labor, they are gearing up, and we have this strong belief that it's not going to be business as usual. And we now saw that within hours everything turned around. The way the energy, because I am saying this because I had the head of information on the show here yesterday. He was so optimistic. He was saying no going back until every demand he mentioned yesterday are meant to the letter. And then I don't know what happened, like I said, but the issue here now, Chinedu, is that a lot of people, as you can see, that this is really taking a toll on not just one person, but like everybody has been feeling this impact one way or the other, because you must have to leave your house at some point.
Now the question is, between the time he made that pronouncement and yesterday when they had the meeting with government, what happened along the line? Because he was so optimistic,
yes,
something was going to happen.
Yes.
But if I were in his position, I should have been more soft on it. I wouldn't have come out
too sure that it's this or that, or it's not like this.
Until we have a meeting with the government. You shouldn't come and tell the whole country that nothing is going to stop the strike, irrespective of the negotiation you're supposed to have with the government. But now they've gone into the meeting with government, which lasted, like, from the reports I heard, for about 6 hours.
6 hours, you're correct. Close that meeting.
So what happened?
Close door. Let's not forget.
What happened inside the doors?
Yes.
That's the question.
That is the question that has been on the lips of Nigerians, because they feel like this point, like you said, the common man, they are even more vulnerable. You have to fend for yourself. There is nobody speaking for you. Like I said, they feel like all hope is lost at this point. From what we saw so far last week, since the removal of subsidy, we saw that a little bit of prior to now that time, you saw that the queues were much. People were struggling to get fuel, at least that would still carry them for a period of time. But as of today, what is going on? You go on the streets, you barely see vehicular movement, no people walking. You see people working from home. Even as of today on the headline, we saw that Kwara government has declared that it gave 3 working days a week. This shows how serious this is.
Yeah, I think when I learned of what the Kwara state government has done, I think it's like a palliative, as it were.
Yes.
Instead of the workers coming to work 5 days in a week, they made it
3 days a week.
Then they can use the other days to do some other things, do some other job. It's a way of reducing cost on
because if you're talking about, let's even look about the transportation here. So you use the transportation you're supposed to use for 1 week to your office for 1 day. It doesn't make sense to a lot of workers.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, even talking about the minimum wage, Mr. Chinedu, now a lot of, like the TUC did say on the headline this morning that they are now proposing 200,000 minimum wage. How feasible is this? Do you even see this happening in a country like ours?
Well, there's nothing impossible.
Okay.
Until we see all the figures. I wouldn't sit here and say 200,000 naira cannot be done.
Okay.
Until we get all the figures. What I mean by all the figures, the revenues that accrue to government, the total number of workforce, before we can determine, yes, 200,000 is feasible. But I just think what the TUC has done is that when you go to negotiation tables, you have to go up with a list of demands. You don't want to go below a certain figure. You want to start from somewhere. That even when you want to concede, you can concede to a certain extent. I guess that's what they have done. But I wouldn't want to sit here and say 200,000, it's on the high side or the low side, because I wouldn't know all the revenues that will come in approved to government from the removal of subsidy. Because the argument has been from government all the time that they spend so much on subsidy, which depletes government revenue. But now when they stop subsidy, definitely means the government revenue is going to increase. So government wouldn't have any excuse.
But I did have a guest like the head of information, and I had Dr. Emmanuel as well on the show this morning. They said the same thing, that prior to now, you saw that Obasanjo came as a president. He funded the subsidy. The country, the economy was okay, was fine. Yar'Adua came, he did the same thing. Jonathan came, he did the same thing. Even at some point, Buhari did it until we now started incurring debt. So is it that it's something that the past administration did not do very well? What's your take on this?
I think they all did very well in their own.
Because even during Jonathan, the subsidy was being budgeted for, and we were still buying fuel for as low as 75, 65 per liter.
I think what the government, the past government, especially the government of Jonathan, had was the price of international crude sold for as much as $100 per barrel. So the government at that time, they still had a higher revenue to sustain the subsidy. But had it been the subsidy was removed at that time, we wouldn't have been at this point where we are today. Because those same people in government now who are the ones who have removed the subsidy, they were the ones that led the protest against the Jonathan regime. Not to remove subsidy. If you remember those days of Occupy Nigeria, people like the former president Muhammadu Buhari was among the leaders of those protesters at that time. So the question will be now, ask them, what has happened between then, which was 2012, and now? The present government should explain to us. That's just the question. But like coming to your question, when it came to how were the past administration able to fund the subsidy? Yeah, because then the price of crude was on the high, was I think over even $100 per barrel. So they had some money to still sustain the subsidy regime. Unlike today, where the present government, especially the government of the past government, always cry to the Nigerians that the price of crude in the international market is so low, even as low as $30 per barrel. So they wouldn't know where to get money to sustain the regime of subsidy and other things, and to fund infrastructure in the country.
Now, talking about, well, we even talk about the minimum wage as well, like I did pointed at yesterday. When we talk about minimum wage, people feel like when you increase the minimum wage, is going to be some kind of resolve this whole issue. What's your take on this? Because I feel not everybody's benefiting from the minimum wage we talk about. What about the private sector? We live in a country where laws are not checkmate. People just do what they want and they get away with it. People are being paid as low as 25,000 naira, as low as 15,000 naira. And then how can we even checkmate this?
Yeah, just like you said, it is called national minimum wage. When you say national minimum wage, it's supposed to be a wage that should be paid all across board in the country, both the private sector and the public sector. But just like issues we have in this country, it is not the laws that are the problem, but how to implement the laws and carry out the laws. we have law enforcement. These are people that are supposed to enforce these policies. When you talk about the minimum wage, I think you have the Minister of Labor and Employment, which are the forefront to see to the implementation of the minimum wage in the public sector and in the private sector. But what do we have in this country? Everybody's on their own. Nobody does anything. Even if you look at even the minimum wage, even the state governments too, they fall foul of this law. You see states, because it's supposed to be across board. When they say the minimum wage is 30,000 national minimum wage, I expect all state government to key into this policy. But like in our own country, we are supposed to run a true federalism, but it's just on paper. Well, we say true federalism. So states, they just do their own thing. You see some states like those states say they are paying 30,000 naira, even above 30,000. See states like Zamfara say they are paying, I don't know what they are paying. So it doesn't cut across board. So you see, even the discordant tunes are from even the government. If state government does this, what do you want the private sector to do? So workers are at their own at the mercy of the private sector. So whatever they give you, you take. Because in this country, you have because of the unemployment rate. So whatever you get from your employers, it's what you take. The government is supposed there to implement these policies. So we just have different tunes when it comes to the minimum wage in this country. The only time we talk about minimum wage, it only has to do with the federal government. Those are the ones per state that have been trying to pay the minimum wage. All other sectors, even the state government, private sectors, they're on their own. They do whatever they want, and nobody can force them. Nobody forces them. Let me not say can force them. Nobody forces them to do anything.
And I am of the opinion as well that even the minimum wage we talk about, I don't see how feasible that would be, because even let's say there's increments, how far can it take you still? Because when we talk about the rate of the new pump price, it's way very high. Now this is Abuja, for instance, and people from the state reports we're getting is that they are buying as high as 700. Some states, some are selling as high as 750, and I don't even see the way forward. Like Nigerians are already complaining, they're already groaning, they're already angry that labor will have to go to this level of saying there is no more strike. While a lot of people, like today we saw on the news that the aviation, the banks were already in line, they already keyed into this, and you wake up to see the news that no more strike, and then you just feel like all hope is gone. Let's take a look at this. There's something I want us to watch. Last week when the remover came in and the news broke in and people were running head to scatter, everybody wanted fuel at that point. My question was, are you sure that this one you're rushing? Tomorrow you will still have to buy fuel regardless. Sure. So why the stress of the queue? Anyway, today is another story we're telling. A lot of people don't work, they work from home, they don't go out, you go see few people. And when you go to the fuel station, it's just another story entirely. And you could see, I got the report that the highest you see people buy is 5,000, the normal 7,000. People hardly fuel their tank. How can you fuel your tank? For instance, I used to fuel my tank for 11,000, but now it's 30-something K. How much is my salary? So I wouldn't want to fuel the tank. You don't have that kind of money. Anyway, viewers, let's see this clip and we'll be right back after this time. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
As you can see, the station is looking scanty. I think it's due to, I'm sure it's due to the fuel subsidy removal, because normally before this fuel subsidy removal, the station is usually busy, always busy, more than this. Or you can see now just few cars, 2 cars and like 1 bike or so. That's what I'm having here. But I think the fuel subsidy removal is really affecting the motorists. People don't have money to even buy fuel again. Before the fuel subsidy removal, when somebody comes to fuel, he fills his tank. But now you can only see them buying 10 liters, 5 liters. The most is 15-20 liters. It's very hard you see somebody filling his tank. because of the nature of things. I think the government should look into it and do something about it.
Viewers, from that quick break, you did see that clip with me and you saw that it's no longer business as usual. A lot of people are not even willing to come out to buy. Of course, it's when you have the money that you will come out, fill your tank or to buy. If you don't have that much, you rather use that to feed. There's hope in staying alive. So you eat, stay strong before you not think of buying fuel. And then a lot of people here are saying, somebody's telling me that Aluta has lost its flavor. NLC was stronger during the time of Oshomole, that no court will dare open its mouth to call off strike. Nigeria playground. That is a message I got. And another one said, just small indoor meeting with Tinubu, then don't suspend strike. Last, all man for himself. Oh. But they are all allowed to go on strike. Even university students are writing exams. These are some of the issues, Mr. Chinedu. Now, when we now talk about the court's action, do you even think this is targeted at the masses?
I wouldn't say it's targeted at the masses. We have laws in this country, rather. If the National Industrial Court says the proposed strike is legal, Labour has no choice but to abide by it.
But don't you think as well that that is the only way Nigerians can express their grievances? In a situation as this, we cannot go and fight Tinubu. People cannot go and fight the government.
But so sometimes I wonder if the courts, even the courts, feel the pulse of the people. Sometimes I don't understand even our courts. But I'm not here to disparage our courts. But sometimes I'm talking like an ordinary Nigerian. If I were to where the courts when the government unilaterally increased the price of the pump price of petrol, the courts were not there to stop the government from doing that. But when you beat the baby and you're saying the baby shouldn't cry.
Exactly the word.
Sometimes I don't understand the courts. Where were the courts when the government increased the pump price of petrol? But now when the people wanted to react via legal protest, the courts will just come in and put an injunction, no, that you cannot do that, you cannot do that, do this. So I wonder how courts fight for the common man in this nation. I wouldn't know.
And that was exactly the word my guest did use this morning. You cannot beat a child, flog a child, and you hold their mouth not to cry or not to shout out. At some point, they will still have to cry out. Now, a lot of people have the opinion as well that just this strike action that has been suspended by the court, of course, that the NSC, buying the NSC and the UTC now, that would just be the end of this, the whole issue of the subsidy removal. Of course, don't forget also yesterday, the guest did say that this is just the beginning. We're going to see more, because they are now saying yesterday, like I said, I'm going to bring him on the show again, because he didn't mention yesterday that just maybe before the end of the year, we're going to buy for as high as 1,000 if nothing is done.
That would be unfortunate if that happens. Because even with 500, 600, people are still crying, as it were. What will we buy for 1,000? Now the minimum wage that they are looking at proposing to increase, they've not done that yet. So I wonder what kind of palliatives the government are going to give to the people to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. By the way, we are told that subsidy removal has to do with deregulation. I wonder in this country, when we talk about deregulation, does it mean price increase? And what we should know in our nation, anything that goes up hardly comes down.
That is the fear. I was going to get to that exactly. At this point where whatever in Nigeria, something happened for one reason, and there's a surge or increase in price. Later, everything is back to normal. That price will not come down. It's just there, and that is the fear.
That's people are in Nigeria. Whatever goes up never comes down. It hardly comes down. Instead, what happens? It just remain like that. So, I just hope and pray it wouldn't happen in this case of a removal of subsidy. That when the price needs to come down, let it come down. When it needs to go up, let it go up. Those are market forces. That's how it should be. But I fear for my country that whenever anything goes up, instead of it to come down,
it keeps going up.
It keeps going up. It stays at that level. But we just hope and pray that it stays that way.
But
sorry to cut it short. If you have to look, when they said they had removed subsidy on diesel for a while now. But instead of the price of diesel to fluctuate, you see that it's just going up. So what's the essence of the deregulation of that sector? Look at what the common man uses, kerosene. It is out of their reach. And yet you tell us that it is removal subsidy, that subsequently the price might come down. We've been waiting for the price to come down. We've not gotten anything yet. But we just pray that in the long run, that we get the benefit of the removal of subsidy.
And then amid all this, what do you think Nigerians do? Like you did say that the common man is left to fend for himself. And of course, I saw a comment here that also says that all man for himself. At this point, labor are just they cannot be trusted. That is the opinion of Nigerians. That they go in the next stage, they say something like what you did ask a very vital question. Within the time I interviewed him on that afternoon show till that evening, what must have happened? These are the questions on the lips of Nigerians. But anyway, what do you think now Nigerians can do as a people? Because like they are just on their own. If the government says subsidy stands, it stands. And then the labor that is supposed to say, okay, we are saying no to this, we're opposing, this is what we want, has now suspended the strike, though negotiations are still ongoing. But before then, what can Nigerians do?
The question that we Nigerians, we are resilient. There's nothing we cannot do. We want to find ourselves between the hard place and the hard rock. But what I would advise Nigerians at this point in time, they shouldn't take laws into their hands. They should remain law-abiding. But what they should do, they should double their efforts when it comes to work. If it means,
but sometimes Nigerians are willing to work. You see young people leaving their home as early as 6, as early as going to work, are ready to work. But sometimes even the people they work for, they are not willing to pay. Like I have somebody abroad that used to say that Nigerians were being enslaved. And where is the lie? I don't see any lie there. Sometimes the work with the things we do here, if you're in another country using the same time, the same energy, you would have been a very rich person. And that is factual.
Yeah, you're very correct. What I was trying to say is that if you have the opportunity to have an extra source of income, please take that route.
Okay.
So that to mitigate whatever effects the removal of subsidy will have. If there are little businesses one can do, I will advise Nigerians to go so that they show up their revenue base, so that so that the effects of the removal of subsidy wouldn't be hard on them. Those are the things I will advise them at this point, while waiting on government to bring the palliatives which they promised Nigerians they were going to bring.
And don't forget also that when we talk about the fuel price now, it's not just basically about the transportation, which a lot of people are not looking at. We are forgetting school fees, we're forgetting food prices, we're forgetting even house strength. This is going to take its all effect on all these things put together.
Yes, because increments in petrol prices has multiplier effects on other sectors of the economy. The market woman depends on transport and transportation to bring her goods from the farm to the marketplace. The worker depends on transport to go from his house to the workplace. So it has a lot of multiplier effect on the populace. So that's why government should tread carefully on this issue of removal subsidy. Yes, they've removed the subsidy. What do they have for the people to cushion the effect of this the removal of subsidy? Well, let's wait for the government. Let's see what else, because like what we read from the news yesterday, they're meeting with the government. They said they're going to meet in 2 weeks, I think June 19th.
June 19th,
the TUC and LNLC, they've outlined some measures, demands of government. Let's see whether governments are going to accede to these their demands. Like issue of the $800 million loan that government sourced or borrowed to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal. Let's see how they're going to distribute this palliative. But for me personally, I wouldn't want the government to start sharing 5,000 naira to them.
I have said that over time on the show that sometimes you don't give people fish, you give them teach them how to fish. I don't know how many people, for how long they can use the 5,000 naira and how long that is going to work.
Now, apart from
and don't forget
apart from how long they're going to use, do we have the database to know who who are qualified to get these things?
Not just even that, but let's even do you even know the people in charge of this, the institution? How honest can they be with this? We live in a country where people cut away with money. no database, no laws. They just feel okay. They might just want to do it for like number of people, and they stop and they go away with the money.
It's only in this country I see people putting cash on on table and tell people to queue behind it and start giving them. How did you come about that register? I saw it during the last administration. That's what I think the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs were doing. You take large sums of cash, you put it on the table and ask people to queue behind them. How did you come about those people? How did you know their income? How did you know their names? How did you know they were Nigerians? Because a lot of us didn't get that then.
Yes.
They called it conditional cash transfer. There are a lot of corruption embedded in these things. That's why Nigerians don't want this. Instead, use that money to do things that will benefit, everybody. Instead of bringing a few people, you line them down and hand them. And just like you asked, how long are you going to sustain that? Is it sustainable? Just like you said, it's not. It's better for you to teach people how to fish than you giving them fish. So that's why I'm personally against giving people cash, because we don't even know. In fact, we don't even know how many we are in this country. Sometimes they tell us we are 200, 220. We don't have records.
No records.
So how do you distribute these things? And again, how do you distribute it evenly? Because we don't have database. We don't even know ourselves. We don't even know who are Nigerians from those that are not Nigerians.
And then you even as small as the food feeding school feeding program, we see that up till now is still a flop, because you keep hearing one story or the other. These are things that have been budgeted for, but today they can't give proper accounts. And then just before we move away from this subsidy removal, now there's this misconception. People I don't know if it's alleged that there is a little issue between the Labour and the TUC, though. The head of information yesterday did said note to that very news yesterday. He was saying that is a misconception. There is nothing as such as a little division among the two unions. Now, because they feel like, as at the time Labour was saying, don't forget also that on Sunday they had a meeting with the federal government. Labour did shun that very meeting, while TUC had the meeting with the government. Now, people are of the opinion that this might just be the reason why the court had to give that order that yesterday, because they felt like it wasn't strong enough. While Labour was agitating for a strike, TUC was willing to sit down to listen and to place their demands.
I think that notion had been probably dispelled, because when you look at the meeting that they had yesterday with the government, both the leader of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, and the leader of the TUC, Festus, I've forgotten his name now. They were seated together and they attended the meeting together. I think that notion of rift had been dispelled for them to hold
the meeting together
with government. Because the meeting they had yesterday was between government, the TUC, and the NLC. So I think that notion has been dispelled. I don't think there's any rift between the two unions regarding.
Anyway, we'll see how that goes now. When we Nigerians, although they feel like there is no hope or hope is lost, but we know that just maybe there will be hope at like the saying that there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. So we do beg on the Nigerians to shove their sword, to relax. We know how painful this is. Just relax, don't worry, everything will be all right. Maybe at the end of the day. That is what we pray for. Now we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, there are issues of demolitions ongoing, especially here in the Federal Capital Territory, in amid subsidy removal, where people are having hard time and they wake up to this now. We'll come back after this break and we'll talk about this. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Hooray! It's Nigeria Week London 2023. This is a celebration of Nigerian foods, film, arts, culture, fashion, music, dance, and comedy. Also, there will be a comprehensive economic summit, exhibition of Nigerian organic agricultural produce, and a meritorious recognition performance awards to deserving Nigerians and industry icons. Nigeria Week will showcase Afrobeat A-list artists, Ice Prince, Terry G, Orishefemi, Oris Wiliki, Konga, Bijiano, Nice Flow, Jet Play, and many more. Dates, 17th to 23rd July 2023. Time 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. Venue, Lighthouse Theatre, 262 to 274 Camberwell Road, London SE50AY. Tickets available on Eventbrite at www.eventbrite.com/Nigeria Week or numbers below. For more details, visit our website www.superiorradioandtelevision.com. Nigeria Week, produced by SRTV in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Nigeria.
Message of the Lord. Okay, my people, it cannot be better than this. The Nigerian Week in London 2023 got you covered to the extent that you can get a free ticket to the event. And this is all you need to do. Go to the Google Play Store and download TapTap app. Send as low as £1 to the account in Nigeria using SRTV as your transaction code. Screenshot your transaction and send to 447-459-513619 or email it to event@superiorradioandtelevision.com and the ticket will be sent to you ASAP. This is powered by SRTV London and TapTap Send. You already know what time it is. Your boy Ice Prince Zamani. I can't wait to ride this.
Feeling the boy. Okay, it's so exciting. The game's been dark, but I'm igniting.
Hooray! It's Nigeria Week London 2023. This is a celebration of Nigerian foods, film, arts, culture, fashion, music, dance, and comedy. Also, there will be a comprehensive economic summit, exhibition of Nigerian organic agricultural produce, and a meritorious recognition performance awards to deserving Nigerians and industry icons. Nigeria Week will showcase Afrobeat A-list artists, Ice Prince, Terry G, Orishefemi, Oris Wiliki, Konga, Bigiano, Nice Flow, Jetplay, and many more. Dates, 17th to 23rd July 2023. Time 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. Venue, Lighthouse Theatre, 262 to 274 Camberwell Road, London SE50AY. Tickets available on Eventbrite at www.eventbrite.com/Nigeria Week or numbers below. For more details, visit our website www.superiorradioandtelevision.com. Nigeria Week, produced by SRTV in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Nigeria Film Corp.
Back from that break, we've seen that amid subsidy removal, our Nigerians are still running, still trying to recover from the shock, the pain, the struggle, and the anguish. While seeing incessant demolitions here in the Federal Capital Territory, and I will take a case study from the the popular market UTC. How are Nigerians even coping at this time? Now, have you been able to see this place after the demolition?
Actually, I've not been there to see for myself, but from the stories I've heard, it's
terrible.
Yeah, it's pain and anguish for the traders.
It's indeed pain and anguish, because I went there, I saw for myself, and it's something horrible to behold. You could see people, numbers of people just standing there doing nothing before your very eyes. Everything is down. And don't forget also that the administration also, like for two months now, even the past administration has been on demolition for some time now. Talking about Apo, talking about Alugbe, talking about and all that, even Cuba, some part of Cuba. Now, do you think this is even the right time? We're talking about we're just leaving the Naira swap policy that has brought so much hardship, and then we came into. We were not surprised by this subsidy removal, and now the demolition is still ongoing, even at this very tough time. And Nigerians, they are not even willing to talk. You know, SRTV actually went out to sample the opinions of some of these people, which refused to even speak. You could see the anger, you could see the pains.
Well, just like you asked, I don't think there's any right time to do what is right. You do things when it's supposed to be done. Just from the information I got, this particular UTC market, government wants to give it to a developer to really develop, as it were, a state-of-the-art market, so that the people will come back to take those shops. But you know, our people, wherever you have stayed for a very long time, you make your money. It's hard to pull you out of that place. But I feel that what I felt was government should have probably negotiated with them, carry them along, have temporary places for them while the development of the of the structures goes on, instead of coming overnight and demolish the market per se, as it were. Just like you said, your crew went out and to feel the pulse of the people. They wouldn't be happy. Definitely, they wouldn't be happy. But what I felt government should have done is to still engage them, get their consent before going about to demolish it. But just like I said, it's very difficult to handle our people, to please our people.
Don't you think as well, Chinedu? Now we live in a country, like we said, that is a bad who knows who. Now we're talking about demolition the popular market UTC here that is well known here in Abuja, and then you're saying that you want to refurbish, you want to restructure, you want to do to rise to a modern structure. Now, how positive or sure are you that these people might just come back and they have access to this thing? They will not tell you that the shop have been bought, they've been sold. You know how it is in this part of the world.
I think.
Anyway, hold that thought, viewers. I want us to see this clip, and when we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Everything inside, you don't pack them. You don't pack everything. Why you don't go back? It's better than shoot gun, yes, it's money. See those people that are like that. Nasas with this, so they don't see back. Nasas.
Hello viewers, you're welcome back. You didn't see that with me. It's quite heartbreaking if you ask me. You go to UTC as of now, as we're here, you see them people still hanging around. And a lot of people will tell you their homes were demolished just last month, some weeks ago. And just the shop was the only thing they had left here in Abuja. And now we've seen that some of the shops have been demolished as well. Even some people have not been able to carry their goods. Some people are lamenting. Yesterday we went there, we couldn't access the place because police had to tear gas the place in a way of scaring people away, as well as to safeguard some of the properties left there with the robbers everywhere. And now, what do you think? Like I did ask you, how sure are you that people will still have access to these shops? We live in a part of the world or a country where only the rich can have it sometimes. They will tell you, even before the place would have been completed, they'll tell you all the shops are sold.
I think just like how I wanted to say, I think the fears of the owners of the traders in that market is not them having access to the shops. But the issue is that when the shops are finally redeveloped, it will be out of their reach. Definitely, I think those are the fears. These are the fears of the traders. For example, now you are paying for a shop. Let's say you are paying for 250,000. After the redevelopment with everything the government will do, they'll not tell you to come and bring 2.5 million. Where do you want somebody that was paying 250,000 to get 2.5 million? Just like you said, it will be entirely new owners of the structures there. And one thing about our government, we don't do things according to the needs of our people. Now you are saying you want to redevelop the market. There's no problem for you to redevelop it. But will the former people there
have access to these shops?
To these shops, that's just it. They wouldn't, and again, there's no financing program we have in this country. There's no way they're going to get loans from the bank to get access to these shops. I think those are the fears of the people. Not that the people are against redeveloping the market for them. But they know that at the end of the day, less than 10%, probably even not, none of them will be able to have access to those markets.
Because I've seen a situation like this where at the end of the day, before they finished the structure, we saw that people started buying, politicians, their wives started buying 10 shops, 20 shops, and they're now giving to people at a very high rate. And another thing, don't you think it would have been better for the government to provide somewhere for them just before going there to bring down the structure?
Even the government has provided temporary place for them. The end result is for people to move into that market. Just like we said, at the end of the day, I don't think less than 5 or 10% of them will be able to provide those have access to those shops. It's not a matter of providing temporary place for them. If they can have access to the new and final shops, fine. The people they will start complaining, they will start crying. But they've looked at their pocket, they looked at what these people are trying to do. Probably they've even seen the model of what is to be built there, and they've already looked ahead and know even if this will finish this thing, we can have access to this thing. So I guess that would be their fear of the people, because now Someone that has been trading in that particular UTC for maybe over 10, 15 years. Now he's not able to get access to those new shops. Where do you want him to go?
These are the questions.
Where do you want him to go? So if the government or if the developers can have a system for them to make payment, for it to be easy for them to make payment over a long period of time, I guess they wouldn't have problem with being against with the redevelopment. That's just at the fear. I think that's just at the fears of the traders in that market, that they wouldn't have access or even have the funds to acquire those new shops that are being built. For example, let me just give you the instance of Tejo Market in Lagos.
Okay.
Tejo Market, very beautiful market, very modern market. But just go there today. Less than 20% or 30% of the shops are occupied. But formerly, when the old structures were there, it used to be hustle and bustle. It used to be crowded. But go there today, a lot of empty shops. Where are the people that takes the banks, corporate bodies? These are people that can afford
the shops there.
But the common traders that were there before can't. So what did they still go back to do? They still go back to sell on the roadside. So government should have some kind of how would I call it, plans for these people, so that they can have access back to their shops, even if it might then providing them finance or mortgages or as it were, for them to be able to get back to those shops.
Wow, you said quite a lot, and thank you so much for being on the show today. Viewers, this is Inside Nigeria. Of course, we have a lot of issues, but time will not permit us to go further. We have a lot of issues, like I did mention earlier, even insecurity, a lot of killings. We saw that on the headlines this morning, and one would have thought that the president would come with so much energy to tackle that part of insecurity that has been ravaging the people for a long time. But we see he did give the security chiefs yesterday and of course today not to hoard information as far insecurity is concerned.
Yeah. I think he had a meeting with them I think last week.
Yes,
and he gave them matching orders to see to the end of terrorism and insecurity. And he told the new counter-terrorism center of the national the new structure for the NSA, and he was there, and he still reiterated his command to them to see to the end of insurgency.
Yes,
and terrorism.
That is correct. Well, we do hope that we Nigerians will keeping our fingers crossed. We're waiting for the organized labor and the federal government. Let's see. 2 weeks is not far from here, but I know it will be difficult for the people talking about the pump price. But let's see the outcome of that meeting. Just maybe we'll smile again.
Yes, we hope so.
Well, Mr. Chinedu, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Always a pleasure to have you here with us. Viewers, just before we go, this is a special announcement. The management, staff, and staff of All Nations Institute of Marine and Technology, Ogara, cordially invites you to the second matriculation ceremony under the distinguished chairmanship of Pastor Akpovie Godwin, Managing Director, CEO, Delta Free Trade Zones, Kwale and Koko, guest speaker, special guest of honor, Right Honorable Ben Roland Ikpoba, Member Federal House of Representatives, Abuja, Chief Guest of Honor, Honorable Chief Barrister John Nani, Chairman, the SOPADEC. And we have Father of the Day, His Royal Majesty, Noble Esemetan, FCA JP, Orefe 3, Okuogara, Name, Ovio of Ogara Kingdom. And then we have the guest speaker here, Mr. Paul Okurugberi, MD, Haring Group. We have the chief host, Honorable Chief Engineer Emmanuel Igo Mena, and he is the Chairman, Governing Council, ANIMT Ogara. And then we also the date here says it's Friday, 9th June, and the venue is the school premises. We have here Mr. Benson Ukwesa, Chairman, Planning Committee. You can also see here Mrs. Philomena Ona Tame, Secretary Planning Committee, and the number to call to participate for this event is 08065091363. These all we can go today on the show. And don't forget our Nigerian week as well, London, that is fast approaching. That event is just around the corner. We have a lot of activity lined up already. The Nollywood Day, we have the music extravaganza, we have Nigerian Day, and we have other activity, the book launch, and a lot of things, business seminars as well that will take place in that event. All you have to do is to get your ticket at everbright.com to be part of that event. We already have celebrities partnering with us, as well as federal government agencies. We have individuals, fashion icon, and a lot more. Don't be left out. Just before we go as well, don't forget to hit on the notification bell, invite somebody to the page, and don't forget to leave us your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Once again, Mr. Chinedu, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you here. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll have you here again. Of course, because we have too many issues here in Nigeria, like I did mention earlier. This is inside Nigeria, and just inside this country, we have too many things we can't look away from.
Sure.
We keep talking, we keep crying. Just maybe, like I said, that one day there will be a turn, the light at the end of the tunnel, because we know that Nigerians right now, like I said earlier, have lost all hope, especially this news this morning that broke. A lot of people got to find that. I saw the news yesterday and like, oh, this is not good. And a lot of people saw the news today and they were really worried. They were really angry as well. How can the Labour concede to this? What happened in that 6 hour behind? Because 6 hours is such a long time, if you ask me. Yes, a lot of people feel Labour have done something that is not quite okay, but we don't know. We see the outcome of that meeting come 19th of this month.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen on the 19th.
Let's see. And don't forget also the tribunal also have resumed the cases of election. That is something we have pending. Just maybe in our next show, that is something we want to talk about. Issues regarding election. Yes. At this point that the president is already seated, where we leave that for the court to decide. Yes. Thank you so much, viewers, for being on the show. I remain yours truly, Princess KESSY. See you next week.
Hooray! It's Nigeria Week London 2023. This is a celebration of Nigerian foods, film, arts, culture, fashion, music, dance, and comedy. Also, there will be a comprehensive economic summit, exhibition of Nigerian organic agricultural produce, and a meritorious recognition performance awards